Welcome to this tutorial that's going to cover the navigation of the 3D window in Witness 14 using a normal mouse and some control keys on the keyboard. So the first thing we need to do is to create a 3D view, and this time we're going to do it using a model called Crane Transfer that's in the samples model directory that's accessible from the Witness start page. So the first thing we need to do is to create a quick 3D view by pressing the quick 3D button. I'll maximize the window, and then I'm going to place the cursor in the middle of the view and begin to fly into the view by holding down the middle mouse button. To operate a mouse inside the 3D view in Witness for navigation, you need a 3-button mouse for it to work properly. Holding the 3D mouse button down and moving the cursor forward slightly, we begin to move into the view. The further I get away from the middle of the view, the faster that flight becomes. If I pull the cursor back towards the lower half of the window, the reverse effect, we actually zoom out of the window. I'm going to zoom in again. Slowly at first, just in front of the center, holding the middle mouse key down, and then further in, flying in faster. Whether it's a button or a wheel, the operation should work the same, because wheels usually on a mouse usually depress like a button and go in until they click. Just hold that down while you do that maneuver. Also the middle mouse button, if I go to the right, we turn to the right, and if I go to the left, we turn to the left. And again, the speed applies, so if I go a long way to the right, we can turn right the way around the view much more quickly. And if I go to the right, that way nice and slowly, very fine movement when we're near the center of the view. So I'm going to zoom back out by holding the middle mouse key down again and pulling it back towards me. Now the next thing I'm going to teach you is to orbit the view, and for this we hold the control key down and then we turn the mouse, holding the middle mouse key down again, we hold it down as we drag it to the right of the view or to the left of the view. And this orbits around the center of the view. So again, I'm holding the middle mouse key down, and as I drag the mouse to the right portion of the screen. And of course we can go up and we can go down as well. That will also orbit around the central point of the 3D view that we have. The next command I would like to show you is using the Shift key. When we're at an angle such as this, if we hold the Shift key down and I drag the middle mouse key back towards me, the angle of elevation of the view goes upwards. If I move it in front of the middle of the screen, the angle of elevation of view goes downwards, so we can get a more vertical view of the 3D view that we have. This has a little trick as well to master, which is very well worth mastering in Witness 3D. As I zoom out again, just holding the middle mouse key down and pulling it out. But actually, as we're flying into a view, you can change the angle of elevation here by just holding the Shift key down and pulling up slightly as we're actually coming in. I'll just do that again. So here we are flying in, just holding the middle mouse key down. If I want to, I can press the Shift key now, and if I pull the nose back a little bit, it's like pulling the nose up of the plane. If I push it in front of me as I'm flying, it changes that steepness of the angle of descent. That's very useful for zooming into a view and then at the last minute bringing yourself a little bit more level using the Shift key and just pulling the throttle, as it were, or the nose back a little bit by holding the mouse key down, holding the Shift key down briefly, and pulling the mouse key down towards the base of the view. The next thing I'd like to tell you about is the panning. If you hold the middle key and the right mouse button key down together, then this is the type of movement that you get in a model. You move side to side, up and down. So as you can see, you have quite a lot of different ways of controlling the way in which the mouse is flying. And really a lot of it is down to personal preference, which way you wish to maneuver to get to where you want to be in the view. There are, however, some preset views. If we move to the number pad on your computer, and having clicked in the view once, if I press the number 5 key, you will see that I've gone to a vertical view, pressing that number 5 key. If I then go to a number 4 key after clicking in the view, I will go to one particular orthogonal direction. It's 2 key, 6 key and 8 key. They all go to the different orthogonal values. Not so useful when we have kind of walls in the way like this. What I'm going to do now is, having clicked in the window, I'm going to use Control W to make the display wireframe. Then I'm going to go back to 5 again, which is the vertical view. This is just simply pressing the number keys. Make sure that you have numlock turned on if you're using a number pad. Then 6 to go one direction, 8 to go another, 4 to go another, and 2 to go another orthogonal view. If we want to return to where the 3D view comes in, we just simply press the 0 key, and that takes us to the view. Remember, Control W will turn the wireframe view on and off. And another thing that's well worth knowing about the 3D view is that we have the ability to turn the shadows on and off as well. And we simply do that with a Control S command to turn the shadows off and then back on again. Very useful for if you're inside buildings which cast deep shadows almost everywhere. It's possible then to just turn them off so you get a brighter, lighter view. It also slightly speeds up very, very large models to not be processing shadows, so that can help with the performance of the flight around as well. Now finally in this tutorial I'm going to zoom out to a very, very long way away, and sometimes we get a very, very large model that we're trying to navigate. And when we're zooming in, I'm just still zooming out at the minute, but when we're zooming in it can be very, very slow. If I hit the plus key, however, many times, hit the plus key many times, it speeds up the flight, and obviously we can halt it where we want to, but it's changed the granularity of the responsiveness of the mouse to make it easier to fly in and out of a much larger view. Keep pressing the plus key or press the minus key to decrease the sensitivity of that mouse flight. Although that's the last flight thing I wanted to cover in this particular model, we could look at that last point again, maybe by changing the scale of the view which we're going to be creating. So in Model Options Coordinates, this is the default setup with Witness, where we have unit called units and we have a conversion factor of 16 pixels to 1 unit. If we change that to just 1 pixel to 1 unit, and we do a quick 3D again, and we go to where the camera comes in to the view, you can see there are a lot more squares on the floor. This means that now, if I hadn't have pressed the plus keys, if I press the minus keys a lot of time here to decrease the sensitivity of the flight, navigation is a lot more slow, and I need to press the plus key to get that kind of granularity of movement. You'll notice also that briefly in passing, that the height of the extrusion, which is done in the units that we've done, is obviously less because we've made it less. Although everything else in the view is scaled to the size that it's drawn, the height of the extrusions is in the units that we've defined. Therefore, now by defining a unit that's 16 times smaller, we have a 16 times smaller wall around this particular compound, which of course would help for the 2, the 4, the 8 and the 6 numpad numerical views. So that's the end of this brief tutorial about flying around the Witness 3D view. Please join us again for another tutorial soon. Thank you.